Hello, everyone. Welcome to another special episode of the Forhermusings podcast, where we make unique stories exist. I am your host, Funmi Olagunju. I'm so excited to have my guest today for this episode. Um, well, I could go into it and how we met and things like that. But first and foremost, what you should know is she is an artist. She is a singer, musician, songwriter, actress, model, just talented, spirited human being. I'm so glad to welcome my guest, Mia Raz.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I think we should just go right in and just sort of talk about like how we met. Because I think we met in 2018, maybe. So that's like
Oh gosh,
4 or 5 years ago.
I don't,
Feels like
yeah,
it.
I don't remember. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we met on this on set for this commercial for I think it was like a antihistamine allergy thing.
Yeah. I don't even know what it was. I remember that it was a green screen that we
Yes,
were just going there and doing some fun poses, and that's what I remember. And then
same.
we just talked so long
Yes, that was the
behind the
highlight.
scenes.
That was the highlight for me was when, I think we were just like we had a break and we just sort of like hanging around, everyone's talking, mingling. And then I think I said something and then you were kind of started smiling and we just started this conversation. And I had no like expectations of what it would be. I just thought, oh, here's this really nice person. Because usually when you're on set for like commercials and stuff, sometimes I don't know, it's not easy to connect with people because everyone's so focused on maybe the job at hand or whatever else they're going through. But I don't
Mm.
know, what do you think made it easy for us to connect?
I think it was simply mutual um, what we were doing at that time, and yeah, just being on the same page in some ways in terms of our um, project. And you mentioned about your um, platform and your initiatives. And I was talking about my music, which I think we just found common ground, and that just made us interested in what we were doing and interested in each other. And it just, it was flowing. Um, I always say that uh, I simplify everything into these two poles, that something either makes you elevate or like elevates you, or something drags you down. And that applies to meetings, connections between people, jobs, basically everything. Either something makes you high or low. And yeah, and either something flows or something does not flow. I think it just flows. It did flow between us.
It did, and look where we are now. Okay. Look at the universe.
Exactly.
I love this idea of flowing and like motion. And I think it's a lovely kind of transition to your EP Motion, or is it an album? Is it an album now? I don't know. Let me know.
Yeah, so it was an EP for a while, but then I said it's a single motion,
Hmm.
and I released an EP consisted of a few songs around motions and around um, our transition in life um, as a path. So we are in a constant motion. We fluctuate all the time, like the ocean. And I released this EP a while ago, um, and and then I took it down as I transitioned to a different 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 level in my artistry. So there's only the single motion uh, available to listen to at the moment, as well as the music video that was made by the ocean in Malta.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about that music video as well because it's so well choreographed, but as you said, everything still flows. There's kind of a freeness to it, and I think your background as a dancer and a yogi, because she teaches yoga. I think
Yeah.
it just made the music video a bit more like sensual and like visceral, like you could feel it, if that makes sense. So tell me more about
Mm.
the music video and how that kind of came together.
Yeah, well, the starting point was the ocean and motion, as in um, motion in our bodies, a physical motion, and motion in life. So I invited two dancers based in Malta to take part and to choreograph the whole um, dancing routine. But then we brought a lot of spontaneity into it and um, our own motion. So even though we had some basic choreography, we still allowed ourselves to go with the flow, of course. And since I am not a good person for I'm not good at planning. I'm not good at learning something by heart. Like I'm not good at perfection whatsoever. So I obviously could not dance exactly how it was choreographed, and I was not a dancer. I am not a dancer, so I let the dancers do their own thing, and I let myself be free and a bit silly because that's where I find myself most of the time in life.
Mm,
Where I'm not perfect, I am a bit silly and I'm being myself,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that um that went quite well with the idea of being in motion and being in a constant um, change in life, in the song, in life, in the music video. And that was the message that I was sending through the music video. Just be a bit silly and don't treat yourself too seriously because no
Mm,
one does treat you seriously, really, in
mm,
life. And if you're a bit silly and do some silly moves, um, that only will help you to flow in this life, which is already quite complex, isn't it?
mm. I love that. I love that. This idea of being silly, because that's definitely my personality. And I am not a serious person, but
You are not,
depending on
and
the day,
that's what inspiring in you.
I'm going to have that on a t-shirt. I am not a serious person. Don't take me seriously.
Yeah,
I also want to talk
definitely.
about, again, this idea of flowing and going kind of with emotions. And, no one will know, no one knows until you tell them something. So, if you didn't say, I'm not a dancer, no one's gonna know that.
Mm,
When you're
mm,
freestyling, whatever moves you're doing. Because I think there's a little story you have about, because living in Paris, and you were dancing. You told me a little story about when you went out and you were dancing, and this person thought you were a dancer, and then next thing you know, they're asking you to perform and all these things. So tell us what you can
yeah.
about that experience and being yourself.
Yeah, it's another funny one. So yeah, I went to a party and of course I forced myself to go to the party because I am constantly busy and I am a workaholic. I am very reluctant to go out. I'm reluctant to socialize. So I decided to make my work socializing place, which is modeling and artistic project that I do on the side as a form of socializing. Otherwise, I would just stay home all the time. So that day, I decided to go to a party as I was new in Paris. I wanted to just meet people and I did not know anyone at the party. I had the invitation through my friend who had the invitation through his friend, but my friend did not go. So he kind of sent me to the party. I knew the address, but I did not know anyone there. And that was very attractive to me, anyways, to just go there not knowing anyone. So I went there. I had nothing to do there because I did not know anyone. So I went go through, I went go to the dance floor and I was dancing like crazy. And then there was a a man who came to me and asked if I was a dancer because that's how I looked like, and I said no, and then the whole conversation started. So a long story short, he turned out to it turned out that he was a choreographer and a dancer, and he still is, and he does both, and he invited me um, to his collective, um, dancing collective, as he's a contemporary dancer, and he liked how free I was moving on the dance floor. And then we talked, um, and we are now in touch, and we go for um, for a workout together. So he invites me for a dancing workout that I can benefit from. But the whole kind of like takeaway from that, I would say, is that don't be afraid to go with the flow. So I was not caring how other people would see me whatsoever because I did not know anyone anyways, and that created a lot of that created a vibe, a compelling vibe. So people are asking, and then they were coming to me, and through this party, I met a few interesting people that I've connected. Um, so yeah, just be really silly. Again, I was silly because I was dancing like crazy, and that attracted other people, and also I attracted people to the dance floor. So they were people who followed me, and we had a good time together.
I love that so much. This idea of like just being yourself, um, just not giving a care in the world. And that's usually how you attract, I want to say, the right people to you. Because I think
Mm,
sometimes, because I've gone, I've done things solo before. I've traveled solo. It was amazing. It also has its challenges, obviously, but what I have learned is that just being yourself will, it will attract the right people to you. The people who don't like you for whatever reason, they will leave you
mm,
alone. They will avoid you. But the people who are
yeah.
drawn to that energy that you have, that's where the magic happens. And it's a great reminder of like whenever you feel like you can't be yourself, just be yourself. It's the easiest thing you can do. Why repress?
Easiest,
Why suppress?
easiest, and yet one of the most difficult for many people, as we are, we are living in the society with so many rules and so many um, expectations, and we are judged all the time. And for those who are not strong enough, and for those who are not self-confident, that is definitely a big challenge to be themselves, to be free and shameless with who they are. So yeah, it's the easiest one and the most difficult for some.
I agree. I agree. But honestly, from our experiences and the stories we're sharing today, like, just be yourself. Just, create
Yeah.
what you want to create. And honestly, it will take you to where you need to be in life. So we're on to the segment of the podcast because the theme for this season is new beginnings. So I did ask you sort of last minute because everything's been busy,
Yeah.
trying to organize, but we're here and I'm grateful. And the film that you have chosen, can you let us know what firstly the name of the film, and what it has to do with new beginnings for you?
Yeah. The film's title is The Garden of Words. an animated movie directed and made by Makoto Shinkai. Uh, I watched the film a while ago, and it stayed in my head until now, and I consider it as one of my favorite films because there's this motif which I can relate to so strongly. So there is a teenager who is a student of a teacher, and she's quite young, and they got along, and there is a love story between them. But what's very interesting is that uh, she is constantly looking for a comfortable pair of shoes that she never can find, and she constantly wears uncomfortable shoes. And the student, um, he's he's learning to be a shoemaker. So that's how they connect, and he's trying to make a perfect pair of shoes for her. But what's important in the story is that a hair problem of finding a comfortable pair of shoes comes more uh, mm, from her search for a comfy place in life. So it's so the physical manifestation of her uh, spiritual and inner search would be the shoes, or the search for a comfortable shoes, but it overlaps with her search for a place in life, finding um, what's her drive, what's her home. And I love the symbol, and I love the metaphor and the connection between the shoes, because shoes are carrying us every day, and the base, our feet are one of the most important uh, parts of our bodies, because we walk all the time, every day. And equally, I have some struggles. I have been having struggles with finding a comfortable pair of shoes in my life. So I ended up wearing flip-flops as my favorite kind of shoes anyways. But yeah, so new beginning to me is yeah, when I think of this film, I think of a new beginning, because finally she got a new pair of shoes made by him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shoes as the base for our life and for new decisions. That's what a comfortable pair of shoes means to me. And this film is a beautiful metaphor and the symbol for finding a new beginning uh, in your life through your own search, through people who you meet, and also how our body manifests this search and the finding.
I love that. I think that's so powerful because, oftentimes when we think of like new beginnings, we think of something outside of us, something that
Mm,
oftentimes is very scary, because if it's outside of us, then how do we manifest it? How do we even begin to imagine what steps we need to take? But what I love about this
mm,
film, and obviously what you're saying as well, is this idea that sometimes the new beginnings start with us and what we already have. You're looking for a new pair of shoes. Um, that's not too bad. Okay, you can go online, you can Google, or you can like you could ask some friends if they have any spare shoes that they don't need anymore, or do your research, and then you realize, oh wow, this is actually an interesting story, because if I actually like documented this, like it could be a documentary. It could be Mia
mm,
tries to find a new pair of shoes, and that could be a really interesting short film.
yeah.
Just documenting you walking around Paris, or Berlin, and just asking people, "Oh, excuse me, I'm looking for these shoes. I don't know if you can help me." Like, how interesting is that? And that is, in a way, a new
Mm,
beginning, because there's so many things that start to come to your mind. You think, "Oh, what color shoe do I want?" because black goes with anything. What size shoe? Because I like it to be comfortable but not too big. I need to be able to move in it. I need to be able to dance in it as well. So I love that idea, like that analogy of the shoe and like our feet as well. Because our feet, if we think about what our feet go through every single day, it's actually horrendous.
Mm,
Walking on these horrible, streets.
yeah.
I don't know if you have an injury, you fall down, it has to heal. So I love this idea, like the physical manifestation, like what we have, what we already
Mm,
have in our toolbox can essentially be a new beginning. And it doesn't have to be this scary thing like looking for like a job or like something, what sometimes
mm,
what we actually are looking for is within us. We just have to like
yeah,
work to unlock it.
for sure. And you know what I've discovered in my life is that most of the time the new beginning starts with a very little tweak, a very little shift that makes a massive that changes a lot. So a very little shift in your life can change can make a huge difference and make a huge change. And that's what I've noticed. And that can apply to also to your clothing, to shoes, or to a visit, um, to a massage appointment and treatment, one activity or one meeting, one conversation, or one change. And sometimes something that really scares us, or we think that we need to change the whole world. It is actually a very little um, change or decision that we need to make. And that what fascinates me in life. Uh, Actually, the how we can navigate our lives, that we can change a lot or we can improve a lot with uh, little effort.
Exactly. Exactly. I also wanted to ask you about because me and Mia with I've been fortunate enough to collaborate with her with some of her projects. We actually did an interview, I believe in 2020 or 2021. I think so. Yeah. We did an interview. I interviewed her about her EP Motion. I keep thinking emotion, but I
Yeah,
obviously
but many
understand
people
it's
say it,
motion.
which is very interesting. Also,
Yeah,
many people read the title emotion as
Oh,
like a M, like a M motion. So
yeah,
emotions
yeah,
as emotion. Uh, so it's also interesting, an interesting analogy. But anyways, yeah,
yeah,
we did the interview together. Yeah, you did
yeah.
it.
And it was so nice to like see kind of what you stand for and like how this kind of album was so like personal to you. And obviously this idea of motion
Mm,
and keeping on going and telling your stories. Um, And now that we've had that interview, I feel like I've gotten to know you a lot more, and we continue to collaborate together and work together. And we're actually working on your new album, I believe. Is it an album?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Go on.
I think it will be an album. Yeah,
Tell me
it's
about
the
because
yeah.
it's the theme for the album, I suppose, is this idea of capitalism and not kind of devoting ourselves to materialistic things and
Mm,
doing the work to heal ourselves and kind of what do we want to put out to the world, but also what can we keep to ourselves that is kind of like still sacred and doesn't is not basically tainted, because one of the
mm,
title songs is My Dress Hangs There. Yeah.
yeah,
um
correct.
Tell me about that. And I know there's a music video that goes along with that. So tell me the inspiration and more about the album.
Yeah, so in fact, there will be two EPs, which will create a full album eventually, I suppose, and they are both um, set in slightly different moods. One is about disco and how to live your life, in a disco style, fully and shamelessly. And then my dress hangs there is a song that connects the two themes. The one which is against capitalism, but against consumerism, and the one which is about having fun with your own life, being a bit silly, but also quite selective um, with your life, with who you meet and how you spend your time. And My Dress Hangs There is a humoristic um, song about um, how we want to fulfill ourselves, our needs with new clothes, with new material things, how we cover our insecurities underneath our clothing, um, as opposed to facing um, our needs or what's lacking, what's missing, and maybe improving or maybe removing our fear to finally feel free and liberated from all what does not serve us. And I use the title for the song. Um, I borrowed it from the painting from Frida Kahlo, which was also against capitalism in the United States, where Frida Kahlo lived lived then. And yeah, and it's a playful combination of referring to other artists and how other artists talked about the same issues that we still have right now, and how I see them with my own filter, and how other people around me deal with these issues, such as insecurities, um, consumerism, and our capitalistic world.
I love that because essentially what you're doing is not living in fear, which we've talked about at length, this idea of fear holding us back. And what you're doing is just being brave. You're going with emotions, you're flowing, and you're being brave and you're being yourself. And I know with your live performances that you've done, I think you dance barefoot, if I'm correct.
Yeah, sometimes I'm singing barefoot, as it's very grounding and comfortable. And sometimes I'm wearing trainers and some uh, kind of comfy shoes, but still
Mm.
not as comfy as being barefoot.
And what I think is important to talk about as well is this, like, dancing, barefoot, which is one thing. However, Mia, you've done something even braver for your music video, which accompanies this new single. You walked around Paris naked. Now,
Yeah.
tell me, tell me
Okay.
what that was like, because yeah, okay, dance
Yeah,
barefoot, put trainers on, that's one thing.
it's a
But to walk to walk barefoot, I don't know if I am ready for that. Tell me what that
okay.
experience was like.
Yeah, so it was in south of France, in Nice, in fact, not in Paris.
Oh no, in Paris, oh sorry.
Um, it was yeah, it was another form of um, me expressing uh, my my freedom, but not so much, um, not even freedom, but just self-acceptance. And it's not also, it was not so much about me, but it was a manifesto, um, or advocacy for being shameless with who you are. And of course, we don't need to walk naked, and it's not what what my message is. But being naked is obviously not something that many people would do. And I made a video um, during the day when there were people walking. It was more as I did it more as an experiment to also see the people's reactions, as I know that it is not allowed to be naked in public places. Um, in France, but also in other countries. So I was like, let's do it. Let's just see how people react. And I was walking through the street with a lot of boutiques and high fashion shops, which my song refers to. And I was walking and looking at clothing in the window, in the shopping windows, and people were passing by and walking at me. Um, and it was a very interesting experience because, first of all, people reacted really well and calmly. No one was very, very surprised, which was surprising to me that no one reacted really, um, um, I don't know, aggressively or maybe scared. People were rather like positive, but the whole concept of me being naked is simply a symbol of stripping down everything that you don't need, because you have, as you mentioned before, we all have everything that we need to be content and to start, to have a new beginning. We have everything we need. We don't need external boost, external factors that we constantly look for as people. This is also our human nature. We believe that there is something outside of us that can fix us, either our partners, friends, job, a new bag, a new clothes. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, I'm not against fashion and I'm not against new bags and new clothes. But sometimes it's worth asking ourselves, do I need another pair of shoes, or do I need another coat to feel good? Is it really a coat that will make me feel great in my own skin, or is it rather my everyday life and how I shift it to wake up motivated, to wake up appreciating life and feeling good in my skin, and obviously taking it all off and looking at ourselves naked is also brave, because there's nothing hidden. So I can see myself, all my troubles, all my truths, all my talents. It's all seen. Um, and therefore my nudity is a symbol of waking up and looking at ourselves and just admitting what's great, and equally what's missing, and how we can fill this lack with our own action rather than clothing.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. I think sometimes it's really hard to look in the mirror at what we see, what we already have, because in a way we can't really change anything because it's the way we are. It's, we're born this way.
Exactly.
But yeah, everything that is on our bodies, everything we need in a way to survive. The only thing is external really is we need money. We need money to like buy stuff and buy food.
Of course.
But aside from that, like I love how you kind of with this, new album, you're almost doing this introspective thing of like, let's look within, let's look at ourselves closer, and maybe that's one step towards being more comfortable in our skin and our insecurities, and not grabbing that jacket to give you a boost, not getting into that relationship that you don't need to be in because you think it will help you, when the only person that will help you is you. And I think that is so, like when I think about the people in my life, I think about my family, I think about my friends, and when we talk about certain difficult conversations, and oftentimes the solution is just for you to just step back, look at the situation and say, actually, what do I need to do within myself? And that is a new beginning when we can objectively look at our troubles and just say, you know what? I need to remove myself from this. I need to do something, some healing in myself. And that's one step. That's a new beginning. And again, relating it to the film, you brought up the Garden of the Woods. Is that did I say that
The Garden of
correctly?
Words, yeah.
The Garden of
The Garden
Words.
of Words.
Garden of Words.
Yeah.
And this kind of journey of trying to find this shoe. And then I guess along the way she happens to fall in love. There's a love story there, and I think as well, when we do that work within ourselves, that's, as you said, that little tweak, that's when everything changes. That's when we have this cosmic change, and the universe is trying to give us the blessings, because we're able to receive it now. We're able to receive it. Before we couldn't receive it, but now, because we've done the work, we're able to receive it.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we have so much more to talk about, and maybe we'll do a part 2.
Yeah, hopefully.
There's so much wisdom here.
Of course. Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's all the questions I have for you today. And I just want to thank you, Mia, for being a muse on the Forhermusings podcast, which is also a new beginning for me. This is the first podcast I'm doing. Okay. And maybe I had to look within myself to be like, why haven't I done this? Why am I taking so long to do this? But we are here. But yeah, I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for your stories. And before we go, can you just let the people know where to find you on social media, on Instagram, whatever?
Yeah. You can Google me by typing Mia Raz, Miaraz. I'm on Instagram, Mia_Raz. I'm on Spotify and other major music streaming services where my original music is. I'm also on TikTok, YouTube, and that's it. And I would be so pleased to invite you to listen to my music. My new music is coming up, and it's coming out soon. Videos, little reels, and lots of fun. I suppose. I hope.
Yeah, you guys need to go check out her music. It's if you like artists like Bjork, Grace Jones, just like really exciting music that makes you want to move, but also you have songs that make you want to relax and chill. You should definitely just check it out. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening to the
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you for being a muse.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you guys. Bye.